Skye Squad, we are back in the building and it's time to talk Married to Medicine, Season 9, Episode 14, Mountain Revival. Okay. Now, I would have gotten this to you guys earlier today, but to be quite honest with you, after doing Good Day DC this morning, then the Potomac review, and then hearing that news about Brent, Nene's son, that just kind of took me out of the game for a minute. And I just needed to go lay down. I just felt so bad for Nene and what their family are going through. So we just want to send out some prayers and some, warm thoughts and well wishes to Nene and the family. With that being said, we still got a job to do, okay? We still got to recap Married to Medicine and these alligators. Now, I know I heard Anila say that Quad set her up. Now, what bothers me about this so much is that it felt to me like Anila sacrificed her friendship with Quad in order to get back in the good graces of Toya versus simply apologizing to Toya and just moving on. In order to, what she did in this moment was she threw Quad under the bus. And it wasn't just that she said, well, Quad invited Zaina when Toya asked her about it. It was the fact that, to me, she said that she was set up. And I think the words that she used verbatim were Quad set me up. Y'all have to correct me if I'm wrong in the chatterization. We're going to go ahead and use that alleged badge because I just want to be on the safe side with that. All right. But that struck me last night. It really hit me because it really said to me that there is some desperate need that Anila has for Toya's friendship or her attention. And I just can't quite figure out what it is. And maybe it was because they were allegedly friends before all this, but I just didn't like it because Quad seemed to be the person that was riding for Anila the hardest, okay, in her battle with Toya. And clearly, Quad knows when to turn on her beef with Toya and then turn it off for the sake of being there for Toya. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. I want to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I'm going to rate it like an 8. I mean, it was good. We had nuanced revelations. I honestly would say that I tuned out during the guys' scenes in this episode for whatever reason. I cannot explain to you why. Perhaps it is because it was the second show of the night, and I'm trying to determine whether or not it's good for me to review 2 shows in one night or to review the one show and then watch the next show the next day and then immediately do the review following it. So because 2 reviews, all that note-taking, I'm tired after the first one. The first one gets most of my energy. The second one, I'm barely hanging on, okay? So I don't know. We'll have to figure it out as we go along for these next few weeks that Potomac and Married to Medicine are on at the same time. Let me know what you rated this episode in the chatterization down below, and let's get into the episode. So we are back at Blue Ridge. Everyone is eating dinner. Dr. Heavenly asks how Anila is doing. Anila feels like she was targeted in her burglary, all right? She's hired a private investigator, a PI, and she is willing to take a polygraph and will get other people to take a polygraph if she needs to. Quad will take a polygraph. Quad raises her hand. I too will take a polygraph, Anila. Okay? I too will take the polygraph for you. Okay? And when the girls are like, why? And she's like, well, to prove that I didn't have anything to do or have any knowledge of anything to do with this whole situation. And for Anila, she's willing to take the polygraph to prove that she didn't stage her own burglary. Okay. Now, in Quad's confessional, she says, I bet Toya won't take a polygraph. I bet she'll decline to take a polygraph. Now, it's unclear to me if she's saying that she won't take a polygraph to admit to telling Carrie that there was a hit out or that there may have been some Toya involvement. I'm going to assume, based on what we got from our interview with Dr. Heavenly, that it was more or less in line with taking a polygraph, referencing Toya taking a polygraph in regards to her tip to Carrie that Anila had a hit out on the house, okay? Well, a hit out on them. I don't know what that means, per se. Anyway, when they ask her why she would take a polygraph, she's like, well, because she wants to prove she didn't stage it. Toya says, well, you know, Anila, girl, I don't know what you would do because I don't know you. And so everybody's looking at Toya like, okay, girl, I mean, I know that you're pulling this Mariah Carey moment right now, but you know this girl. So then Quad gets into it with Toya having her back. She's ready to deal with Toya straight like that and essentially dares her to hit her and see what happens, okay? Do what you did to Audra and see what happens, boo-boo, okay? Quad was not here for Toya in this dinner, and Toya was trying her best to ignore Quad. Dr. Jackie encourages everyone to let Anila get out her feelings, and Anila says she doesn't know how she and Toya got to that point, to which Toya is like, girl, you've been rocking and rolling with these ladies in the neighborhood that's been talking about me, saying that I've been sneaking and creeping over to some mysterious neighbor's house, shagging it up, okay, while Eugene is at work and in between golf appointments and bubble baths, okay? So Anila's like, well, maybe you didn't think that we had a friendship, but I did. Dr. Jackie encourages them to try to work it out at some point, but Dr. Heavenly ends up pulling Anila away, okay, to have a sidebar ponderosa. Meanwhile, Dr. Simone and Toya head outside to greet Dr. Contessa and Dr. Scott because they have been driving up the mountain, coming on up that mountain in the snow, okay? Dr. Heavenly said they late because they was either fighting or freaking. Fighting or freaking. She said that's all they do. They fight or they freak. And that sounds like a lot of relationships I know. I mean, not mine, but I'm just saying, like, the people out there. You know what I'm saying? You always hear about people that have those real intense and passionate relationships where they be one fighting 1 minute. Some people like the fight and the freak. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be fighting with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Fighting and stuff, fighting with your spouse or fighting with anybody in general is just draining. Okay, draining to me. Anyway, I digress. Dr. Jackie welcomes Dr. Contessa and Dr. Scott to the relationship resuscitation retreat. It's time to clear the air, and no one will have any fun until they get through the issues. Okay? Quad says that the group can have fights and nobody is left yet, and Toya says that's not true. So at this point, Quad decides to move beside Toya, and I'm assuming she's moving beside her because maybe she recognizes that maybe they need a moment of close proximity in order to really get to a better space. I really don't know, but I felt like it was a genuine gesture. Let me know your thoughts. But Toya doesn't understand why Audra chest bumped her and felt the need, and led her to need to have to defend herself. And then Toya starts screaming about why Audra looked up information on her. Dr. Simone got to warn her about getting loud. And Audra says she felt like Toya had been coming at her unwarranted, and for her, it's just not that deep. Toya then has a moment of clarity and reflects back on the fight between her and Mariah from Circa Season 1, Episode 1, and breaks down because she says it was so depressing. She didn't want people to think that she was a bad mother and look at her like she was not right for Eugene. You know, I oftentimes reflect on the way that the ladies handled Toya and Mariah versus the way that the ladies on Potomac handled Monique and Candace. And I guess I can see some differences, but at the end of the day, it felt like the ladies all rallied around both of them versus what seemed like an ostracizing. I just felt like they made. I don't know. It's a difficult situation because I guess both of them had very nuanced differences. But I just sort of look at the way that the ladies were allowed to grow from that situation on Married to Medicine versus how no one was really allowed to grow through that situation on Potomac. I often reflect on those two things and wonder, look at the key differences and wonder about that. But I digress. Anyway, um, she ends up apologizing to Audra, and she realizes that she sort of set herself up for failure with a friendship with Audra. Audra is appreciative, and then they come to some type of resolution, which is nice. We like to see this on reality TV because when you have it's a tension building exercise, right? And what I mean by that is when we think about production and we think about, moments in television and storytelling in general. When you're telling a story, there is a tension buildup, and it usually involves some type of spontaneous combustion, i.e., an apex or a climax, right? And from that climax, we kind of come down from a space, right? But if we don't come to a space of resolve, we're kind of left in a state of limbo when we don't get that resolve. So it's nice to see the idea that not only does the cast understand the art of storytelling in the sense of realizing at a certain point in time there was a conflict that we need to resolve, and it's satisfying for the audience, it's satisfying for them, and it's satisfying for the audience to witness. And that is good storytelling right there. And that is why Married to Medicine continues to be, in my opinion, one of the best shows on Bravo. Period. Meanwhile, Dr. Jackie next calls out Dr. Contessa and Dr. Heavenly to get it together as well. And honestly, Dr. Contessa just wants to have fun first and get loose. She is exhausted. So the next morning, Eugene is annoyed that while he's cooking, nobody else is cleaning. Because the thing that you want to have happen is if you're going to be the cook and the chef, somebody else need to be doing all the cleaning, okay? Anybody else, somebody, but it ain't going to be me, okay? So to me, if I got up and those dishes weren't made, ain't nobody eating. I'm Uber Eats. I'm Uber Eating my food, and I'm only Uber Eating for me and my wife. The rest of y'all scoundrels can start making your own food, because if you are not going to be helping to tidy up, then you don't deserve no plate, okay? Anyway, Dr. Jackie has something planned for the guys so they can stay out of trouble, i.e., no script clubs today. They're only allowed to bowl. I'm really not going to get into anything that happened during the guys bowling except one minor thing, and I'll talk about it when we get to it. But otherwise, I really just kind of phased out of that. Jackie brought the spa to the ladies for some spa day. Toya and Anila and Audra are drinking at the table before the spa activities take place. And Anila lets Audra know that, she really misses these moments because this is how she and Toya used to be. Toya says she has an issue with Anila bringing Zaina to the party because Zaina is the person, allegedly, who is responsible for starting the rumors that Toya was allegedly sneaking and a creeping and a cheating with some creeper in the neighborhood. Okay. So then at that point, Anila says that Zaina called her the day before and that Quad invited Zaina, and Zaina asked for a ride to the party. And I wrote in my notes, Anila says, I was set up. You know what I'm saying? So was it a scheme that Quad set up, or did Zaina set you up? Who set you up? Who framed Roger Rabbit? Okay. Do I need to get my JB Fletcher on and try to solve this case of the alleged stage burglary, of the alleged setup with Zaina? Do I need to come down to Atlanta, get my private eyeglasses on and my Inspector Gadget hat and bag and try to find out, okay, who really framed Roger Rabbit? Anila, I'm trying to figure it out. Now, you were set up by whom? Because there's only two other players in that situation, Quad and Zaina. And it sounds like to me, you either indicating that they are working together or it was Quad who was the mastermind. It was Quad in the study with the candlestick. Okay? So anyway, for Toya, she's pretty satisfied with that response because she says that Quad perpetuates rumors. Okay? And but Toya also in her confessional wants Anila to take ownership of her part in the goings on as well. And she believes Heavenly played a part in the rumor as well because Heavenly was the one that told her. See, this is a case where Heavenly is the messenger and the messenger always gets the shot. Okay. That's what they say. The messenger always gets shot. So let me ask a question I got a question for Toya. Would you have preferred for them to have been talking about this rumor about you and you never knowing until the episodes aired? Or would you have preferred to know that the lady sitting across from you at the party was saying that you was sneaking, creeping, cheating with some creeper down the street in the neighborhood? Okay? Because whether Dr. Heavenly told you or not, it was being talked about. All right? Period. Anyway, Anila's issue is that they had a falling out, and then 2 days later, she get the robbed. Okay? She get burgled. But allegedly, she's not accusing Toya of it. And in my notes, I wrote today. She's just stating the facts, but we can move past that now because yay, you're my friend again, and that's really what I truly wanted. Okay. Now she didn't say that. I added that last part, but that's what I felt in my spirit. For some reason, it feels to me like there is some need that Anila has for a friendship or approval from Toya. Now, I get it to a certain degree because Toya has seemingly mastered the art of living the fabulous life of travel, moving to bigger and better homes as she chooses and as she pleases, however she makes it happen, living a life of leisure, taking bubble baths on the daily, playing tennis with the people, living the good life, so much so that the girls in the neighborhood are obviously jealous enough to create and fabricate rumors that she is sneaking and a creeping with the creeper down the street. I might want to be friends with her too. Okay. Anyway, Anila just wanted Toya to acknowledge, like, hey, there was a robbery here. Okay. She wanted some compassion from Toya. And Toya says, well, girl, you know, I would drive by your house and I would see the lights out. And I'm thinking to myself, now, girl, was you driving by the house because you ain't have no other choice? But because that's the only way out the neighborhood? I don't know. But what I do know is that's what she said. And that was enough for Anila to break down and cry. And all was well between the two of them. And again, I like it because it felt to me like another moment of viewer release. It is like it was like, oh my God, all this tension has finally come to a head and there's a resolve. And for thank you for being a friend. Okay. But we as the audience, we need that. We need that type of resolution. That's what makes the show good. Meanwhile, the guys are bowling. Kieran has an issue with some of the women saying that they orchestrated their own robbery of their own home and he wants to squash it. Cecil wants to know why Anila's post was so accusatory, indicating that someone uh, broke into their house. Well, I would say that the post was accusatory because somebody did break into their house. All right. Um, Eugene says he heard that he and Toya's names came up in the speculation. Well, again, that is because, as we have not seen on the show, for whatever reason, they have chosen to leave this tidbit out that is breaking the complete story. Is that Carrie has told, allegedly, the girls that Toya told her that there was a hit out on Anila's house, or Anila in general. Kieran and Anila says that he and Anila have not said they're out of their own mouths that Toya and Eugene were involved. Now, I need to refer back to the episodes to make sure that they never said that or indicated that or suggested it, because somehow I feel like I don't know if that was true. But since my memory is not serving me as correctly right now, I'm going to count on you. Okay. You, the viewer, let me know if they ever insinuated, suggested, or outright said something to that effect. All right. Um, Meanwhile, back at the place, Toya's a drinking and breaking dishes. All right. Dr. Damon arrives finally, and it's spa time. Toya and Contessa joke about, getting happy endings. And then after they body wraps, Contessa then needs foot rubs from both Dr. Jackie, and they cock her legs wide open and get to work on Myra's feet. Okay. I mean, Dr. Contessa's feet. The men walk in. Dr. Jackie's husband ends up asking Quad, girl, how you doing under that wrap? And something in my spirit said, that's not going to go over too well with Quad. So she jokingly responds, but in her confessional, she's like, she'd prefer he keeps his jokes over there with Dr. Jackie, because Curtis got the past that we won't speak of here. Okay. Then it's time for a catered dinner, and we get into a discussion over freak numbers for Dr. Eugene and Toya, and she complains how the relations betwixt the two of them are boring. I just be like, why do you? I mean, I don't know for the life of me why these people are always talking about the relations, and why she always complaining about how something just it's either, oh, the relations boring, oh, the thing ain't no get the clunker ain't gonna get no bigger. It just be like, to me, like, do you ever get tired of embarrassing your spouse? Like, that is bothersome to me. Okay. After dinner, there's going to be allegedly some surprises for the couples. And I hope it ain't got nothing else to do with no more levels of intimacy, because I am tired of hearing about it.